But with Starmer, it feels like every day there is a shocking new revelation about how he was getting this billionaire, gay TV executive, Lord Ali, to fund a lifestyle so extravagant, I actually think it would make Madonna blush. And I am joined by the great Father Calvin Robinson to tackle what is becoming an incredibly unhinged, dystopian, and I would say damaging start for Slippery Starmer's administration as the cronyism, the sleaze piles up by the minute. But meanwhile, as pensioners literally believe that they are going to freeze to death, look at what was going on at the Labour Party conference last night with Emily Thornberry. We are being ruled by woke champagne socialists who are so out of touch with the people who they claim to represent. Emily Thornberry now versus the Scottish Labour leader Anas Sarwar in a dance-off. Father Calvin, I mean, probably the worst dancing I have ever seen in my life, but there is something so tone deaf, isn't there, about this Labour Party conference?
It's shocking, really. It seems they don't understand the mood of the country. They're out there celebrating and they're living their best lives. It seems to me they are so happy that they finally got into government and they're loving the benefits of the £1 million helicopter rides and free stadium tickets and all the benefits and frills that come with the job. But they're forgetting the people that they were elected to represent. They're forgetting the people that cannot afford to heat their homes. They're forgetting the people whose winter allowance has been taken away from them. And so there's massive disconnect, I think, is only going to grow bigger and bigger between the state and the people the state is supposed to be supporting, representing, and helping.
And what's so shocking, Calvin, is that for me, this is a hypocrisy thing. They were constantly on the backs of Tory leaders, specifically Boris Johnson, for actually very, very minor things, like, for example, trying to get donors to fund the renovation of Downing Street, which actually is something that makes a lot of sense. Taxpayers don't want to pay for it. You don't want your Prime Minister living in a complete horror show, do you? But with Starmer, it feels like every day there is a shocking new revelation about how he was getting this billionaire, gay TV executive, Lord Ali, to fund a lifestyle so extravagant, I actually think it would make Madonna blush. So the latest, Calvin, is that we now hear that another £20,000 was provided to Keir Starmer. And this was as a result of his son studying for his GCSEs, Starmer claims. Listen to this BBC interview.
The third example you gave to me was accommodation. Let me just tell you what that was for. That was because at the beginning of the election, which we didn't know when it's going to be called, my boy, 16, was in the middle of his GCSEs. I made him a promise that he would be able to get to his school, do his exams without being disturbed. We had lots of journalists outside our house where we lived. Now, I'm not complaining about that, that's fine. But if you're a 16-year-old trying to do your GCSEs and it's your one chance in life, I promised him we would move somewhere, we'd get out of that house and go somewhere where he could be peacefully studying. Somebody then offered me accommodation where we could do that, and I took it up, and it was the right thing to do for my boy. It didn't cost the taxpayer a penny.
That's somebody who was Lord Ali, wasn't it?
Yes, of course, but my primary concern wasn't about influencing government. It was making sure that my boy could do his GCSEs without having to wade through loads of journalists outside the house, which may not trouble you and me, but for my 13-year-old girl and my 16-year-old boy does make life more difficult.
No, you obviously clearly feel passionately about this.
I really do.
Oh, please. You're on the take, Starmer. So look at this. Chris Rose has worked out that the dates of Keir Starmer's luxury £20,000 437 stay was from the 29th of May to the 13th of July 2024. The first GCSE exam was on the 9th of May. It ended on the 19th of June. So it doesn't add up. As Chris Rose said, I was told Starmer was too sensible to ever lie, so he needs to clear this up. This man is a fake and a phony. He is the ultimate champagne socialist, Calvin. He is on the take, and it makes me sick.
I mean, I'm not as enraged about it as you are, Dan. I think I actually understand where he's coming from. It's not nice to have, as you well know, it's not nice to have the media hounding you and your family on the doorstep. And I think if he's got a rich friend who's willing to put his son up in a place while he's doing this GCSE, great. But the truth is, it's all exposed and it's all out there. We know who's funding him. So therefore, we know if this Lord Ali gets any special influence, why that happened. So that's good. We can see the transparency. The bit I don't like is the hypocrisy. Yeah. So when Labour were in opposition, they were jumping down the Conservative government's throat for any benefit they took, any handout they took, any friend that helped, Boris Johnson decorate his flat and that kind of stuff. They were all over it. And now the tables have turned, and of course they don't care anymore. And so it wasn't about principles; it was just about attacking. That's the problem I have with it. Like, I want our public representatives to be paid well, right, so that they don't have to look to friends to help them out. I want them to have a good salary so they can dedicate their entire time to serving.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. But it is the absolute hypocrisy and actually the deceit as well that makes me sick. And remember, they were the ones who was slamming Boris Johnson as disgusting. That was his word.
I know, all over a piece of cake. They toppled a government over a piece of cake, for goodness sake. They went on and on and on. And so the hypocrisy is disgusting. But again, that's a good thing. It's out in the open. We can all see what massive, flagrant hypocrites they are. And so the next time they have to rely on us to vote for them, I don't think as many people will. Not that many people did this time around. But they're just losing. They're pouring votes out left, right, and centre. This is one of the least popular governments and one of the least popular prime ministers we've ever had. And he's only been in office, a couple of months? It's crazy to see how quickly socialism can put people off. But we did warn them.
and the thing is, this story is snowballing, though, because Guido Fawkes has just broken that Starmer actually used Lord Ali's penthouse as his fake COVID home. So this is back in December 2021, when Starmer produced a Christmas video message during the pandemic. It was to attack Boris Johnson, but praise the new Plan B system, which was ludicrous at the time. But Guido has actually worked out, Calvin, that this was filmed in Lord Ali's £18 million penthouse. But what they did is they put some pictures of Starmer's family up on his luxury bookshelf. I mean, this is getting bad. I'm sorry.
It's also quite strange. We've heard Starmer talking about his family and his relationship with his family. It sounds very robotic. The children and the father don't actually seem to have an affectionate relationship with each other. And then we see that Starmer put out this picture of him kissing Samantha this week in an article where he said the government wants to take back control of people's lives. And I'm thinking, I don't want the government to take control of my lives. I want the government away from my life. I want the state well away. But the photograph was very, very robotic and straight. Like it looked like two people.
Do you mean Lady Victoria, right?
Indeed.
Yes, not Samantha. That would be a bigger story if he was kissing a woman who wasn't his wife. But how terrible, Calvin! They're now calling Lady Victoria Sponger. But things are just getting out of control, Calvin. I think in lots of ways for this government, because also breaking right now, it has emerged that dozens of people released from jail under the government's emergency prison scheme were freed by mistake. So this is according to Sly News, which quotes a Ministry of Justice source saying that 37 people were released in error on the 10th of December because their offences were wrongly logged under outdated legislation. Many of these people haven't even been brought back into custody. So this is just going completely wrong.
This is one of the worst policies I've seen in my lifetime. This idea of releasing dangerous, potentially violent and abusive criminals early in order to make room in prisons. I still can't get my head around the decision-making process there. If the prisons are full, create more prisons. If the prisons are full of foreign criminals, deport foreign criminals. There are many ways save space or open up spaces in prisons. But letting people out early is disastrous, and especially since we know that some of them have been abusers and some of them have been violent criminals that have been let out, and sexual abusers at that. It's disgusting. It's unsafe for women. It's unsafe for the general public. But then to find out that some people have been let out by mistake, what is going on? It's almost as if, I mean, either this is a very, very incompetent government, or they want to create havoc and chaos in our streets.
Yeah, well, I think they are certainly going to create havoc and chaos on our streets. Kelvin, stand by, because Loony Lammy, as I now call him, the Foreign Secretary, has been trying to turn the Ukraine war into an issue of race, linking it to slavery. This is odd. I'm going to show you what he had to say in just one moment, so don't go anywhere. But first, hot flashes, sleepless nights, weight gain, joint pain. I know a lot of you are dealing with or have dealt with these symptoms, especially the women in the Outspoken family. Now, obviously, I can't say I've experienced menopause firsthand, but I have heard from so many of you about the challenges that come with it. I'm coming to you with good news today. By now, most of you will have heard me talking about Verso, my launch sponsor. I've been taking their products for months, and it's been absolutely transformative for me. But today I want to focus on all of you amazing women out there, especially those dealing with menopause or perimenopause. I've heard from so many of you about how tough this phase of life can be. Well, Cellbean by Verso is designed to target those symptoms head on by addressing the root cause. It's formulated with ingredients that are proven to increase NAD+ levels in the body. That's huge, because NAD+ is what keeps your cells healthy and energized, but it drops off as we age, and especially during menopause. Here's the thing. Boosting NAD+ can make a big difference in how you feel. Women who've taken Cellbean are reporting some pretty amazing changes. Hot flashes disappearing, more energy, joint pain relief, weight loss, and mental clarity. I've even heard from some listeners who've told me their periods have come back or have become regulated, and they feel like they've turned back the clock on aging. The ingredients in Cellbean have been shown to balance hormones without going the traditional hormone therapy route. It also helps with inflammation and metabolism, which is especially helpful for managing weight and keeping you feeling your best. Plus, these research-backed ingredients have been shown to improve bone health, which is crucial for postmenopausal women at risk of osteoporosis. Now, what I love about Cellbean, and I think you will too, is that it doesn't just mask the symptoms of menopause, it tackles the root causes of aging, helping you feel stronger, healthier, and more energized from the inside out. So if you haven't tried it yet and you're ready to take control of your health and feel more like yourself, click the link in the description on YouTube and Rumble, or head over to ver.so and use the coupon code Outspoken at checkout to save 15% on your first order. So if you're tired of the sleepless nights, the hot flashes, or just feeling off, give Cellbean a try. It's already helped so many of you, and I'm confident it can help even more to feel better. So let me repeat the website, www.buy.ver.so/outspoken. Use the coupon code Outspoken. But now, back to the show, and Father Calvin Robinson returns. Outrage, though, as David Lammy has decided to use an address at the UN talking about throwing even more money, even more billions at Ukraine. But David Lammy, like he does with everything in life, believes the Ukraine war is somehow connected to race and slavery. Watch this.
But I say to the Russian representative on his phone as I speak, that I stand here also as a black man whose ancestors were taken in chains from Africa at the barrel of a gun to be enslaved, whose ancestors rose up and fought in a great rebellion of the enslaved. Imperialism, I know it when I see it, and I will call it out for what it is. In this week, when I'm here talking to other partners around the world about our shared futures and the future of the UN, Russia is trying to return us to a world of the past, a world of imperialism, a world of redrawing borders by force, a world without the UN Charter. We cannot allow this to happen. Ukraine's fight matters to all of us. the UK will remain Ukraine's staunchest supporter.
The broadcaster and former Brexit MEP Alex Phillips responded to that by posting on X, "White people aren't ever allowed to be the victims. Somehow all the lives lost and destroyed through Russia's violent invasion of Ukraine must instead be regarded through the prism of David Lammy's narcissistic point scoring about his ancestors' struggle against slavery and his preciously unique wisdom as a black man. Is there any topic he won't turn into a woke whine? It's so unbecoming." The speech started off quite strong, then he made everyone in the room roll their eyes and think the UK has lost the plot with his American high school TikTok babble. This is not okay. He makes the country lose respect at vital international meetings. Father Calvin Robinson, your verdict.
This is embarrassing. It's really, really sad. I think bringing up his ancestors in that way, they'll probably be rolling in their graves with cringe. The fact that he managed to make it all about him and all about his skin color, it's critical race theory 101. This is supposed to be a conversation about the Ukraine and Russia. And actually, he should be saying that we need to stop funding this war. The war needs to end. We need to stop sending, £3 billion a year of UK taxpayers' money to the Ukraine at the same time as taking away the welfare of elderly people. And also, it wasn't just about his race, though, and himself. You know what? He almost managed to make Russia sound like the good guys. He was saying, what was it? Russia is trying to return us to a world of the past. I'm thinking, yeah, okay, reject modernity, embrace tradition. And he says, a world of imperialism, again, sound. A world without the UN Charter. Yes, let's get rid of the UN. Fantastic, Lammy. Where do I sign up? You know, he's not really very good at public speaking. I mean, in fact, he sat there saying, "I stand here as a black man," and he sat there in his chair. Like, whoever wrote that should have had a second thought, because
but he has a one-track mind. He has a one-track
race
mind.
Theory, all he obsesses about making Russia look good when he's supposed to make them look bad, and he doesn't address the British people's issues and wasting all his taxpayer money. And of course, he gets the language wrong. He's not actually stood there. He's sat there. Embarrassing.
Yeah, no, it was embarrassing. But I think you're absolutely right, of course, to raise the issue of Ukraine and the money being thrown at Ukraine. Now, the mainstream media, you know, Calvin, they have barely questioned this. We have been at least having the debate and discussion about it. Initially on my GB News show, actually, Calvin, just in the days following the invasion. I remember you've always been very, very clear on this issue. But finally today, I don't know if they're, I'm not giving them too much credit, but at least Susanna Reid of Good Morning Britain, at least she put to Starmer the astonishing figures that are still being used for the war in Ukraine when Labour have decided to take away. He stopped speaking for me. Not everyone accepts this. I do not accept it. He just signed off another 600 million to Ukraine. There was no debate. There was no discussion about it. We cannot afford it. And I'm sorry, Calvin, I do not want another forever war. Why are we not talking about peace? But it makes me so mad when he just continues to act as if these highly controversial and divisive issues I only have one uniform response from the British public.
Yeah, the Prime Minister is clearly a liar here. He's saying that it's about us, it's about our freedom, our democracy. We are not at war with Russia. The last I checked, we weren't yet in World War III, despite many people in the West trying to drag us into it. This is about the Ukraine and Russia, and the British people should have a say on whether we fund a foreign war, a proxy war. We should have a say on whether £3 billion a year, on top of the £8 billion we already spend on foreign aid, goes to Ukraine. We don't seem to have a say. You're right, there hasn't been a proper debate in Parliament about it. But even if there was, both sides seem to be on the same page with this. Boris Johnson was the one who disrupted the peace talks back in April 2 years ago. Russia and Ukraine could be at peace right now, but the West doesn't seem to want them to be. It almost seems like powers in the United Kingdom and the United States are making too much money from this. We know that BlackRock is heavily involved and is taking money from main Western countries in order to rebuild the Ukraine. And so we know that a lot of money is going to BlackRock. Where's the money going after it gets to BlackRock? That's a question people should be asking. People should be looking at which politicians BlackRock funds. And there are major politicians it's all out there in the open, that BlackRock are funding. So essentially, money is going from taxpayers to a third-party company and then back to politicians who sent it there in the first place. That is corruption, essentially. Our money has been wasted on greedy politicians.
Well, and as I say, Calvin Robinson, you have been calling out the corruption of Ukraine from the moment that this invasion happened. And actually, a lot more people are having their eyes open to it now.
When it first happened, I remember the news hit. We were at the old station, and I took 2 weeks off. I remember saying, look, I'm not an expert in this. I don't want to pretend to be an armchair expert. Everyone else seems to be. All the commentators were like, oh, yeah, go Ukraine. Go. I'm like, I don't know enough about it. Someone has spent some time. And I spent 2 weeks on research first before I had an opinion on it. And I found out that the Ukraine has always been one of the most corrupt nations in the world. And it was the most corrupt nation in Europe. And then overnight, suddenly we're like, this is the epitome of democracy. It must be protected at all costs. Our democracy relies on it. And then I saw the vast swathes of money coming out of the country. I'm like, where's the money coming from in the first place? How is this guy suddenly rich? How is his wife suddenly in this mansion over here? Where's this actor suddenly got all this money from? And it raised major concerns that I think everyone should be worried about. But people see the current thing. We must be on this side to be seen as good guys in history. Well, actually, it's important to be on the right side. Yes, absolutely. But discern, pray, and work through it. Don't just jump on whatever your government tells you is right. That's the dangerous pitfall to go down.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please do subscribe if you want lots more clips and interviews like that. Plus, if you want to watch our totally uncensored after show, then visit www.outspoken.live.